Hola, everybody! I am taping this right before I head out to see Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon, and here's hoping for yet another mind-bogglingly insane trip through the inner workings of Michael Bay's subconscious, splattered onto the screen with a bunch of CGI, slow motion, and God knows what else that man is capable of. I mean, you gotta respect the insanity that Michael Bay stands for, so here's hoping I have fun. I heard one of the Autobots has a mullet, which is kind of amazing. I mean, it can't get any worse than the twins, but yeah. And I'm also taping this right after I just got done watching this week's Impact Wrestling, which, again, they're making baby steps, they're improving, and I did overall enjoy the show this week. But Gunner? Fucking Gunner? Can anybody, explain the appeal of this guy to me? I don't understand it. I understand you want to create new stars and you want to make, new main eventers, and that's fine. I respect that, but god damn, this feels like a Sheamus Wade Barrett type of thing. Maybe worse than that. He's like Bizarro CM Punk, because he looks like CM Punk, but has none of the traits that make CM Punk cool, so he's just boring as fuck. And I don't understand the appeal of the guy, and I can't imagine why TNA would hitch their wagon to him, but now he's number one in the Bound for Glory series, which is... Never would have seen that coming. So, we'll track his path in the months to come and see. Maybe he'll wind up main eventing Bound for Glory. Who knows? But I mentioned CM Punk, and that'll help me transition to what I really wanted to talk about, which was CM Punk, who this week, in case you've been living under a rock, basically went out there at the end of Monday Night Raw and cut what I feel might have been one of, if not the best promo I've heard in at least a decade, maybe longer. That's the kind of stuff that we should be seeing every week in professional wrestling. Not that same level of intensity and not that same level of quality, because Punk is a quality performer and he's able to do that. And yes, I do believe the whole thing was a work. I think Punk was allowed to script out what he wanted to say, and but I also think that the WWE and Vince McMahon had to put the stamp of approval on it. So I don't think he just went into business for himself. But the fact that Punk made you think he did is kind of cool. It was that believable of a performance, and that's the kind of thing we don't see that much in wrestling, especially in the WWE. I've talked about it before. The promos, for the most part, just feel overly scripted. They feel like the wrestlers are reading off of cue cards, and they're not really being allowed to interject their own personality into things. And for this promo, we got to see a believable, interesting, captivating character in CM Punk displayed at the end of a show, and it created some of the most interesting and compelling wrestling television I've seen in a dog's age. And that's the kind of stuff. That promo should be the template to work off of. Okay, it needs to be more like this, and that should be the direction. Where do I think the WWE will go for here? Well, I don't know if Punk's leaving. Part of me thinks it's a work. Part of me thinks he is really leaving. I don't know. Right now, I'm operating under the assumption that he really is going to leave, but we'll find out the night after Money in the Bank. By the way, he's not winning the title. I would be very surprised if Punk won the title. So. If he does, great, but I'm not counting on it. But I think after that promo, or before that promo, Punk was kind of like, okay, he's on the way out. They'll give him a title shot and he'll leave, and that'll be it. But now it's kind of like after that promo, and the spark he's generated among the wrestling fan base, it's really gotten a lot of people talking, really brought a lot of interest back into the WWE product, because I am definitely going to tune in next week to see what happens. And the Money in the Bank pay-per-view just got a lot more interesting, not because I think Punk has a chance of winning, which, again, I don't, but because I want to see what happens in front of a Chicago crowd when he gets into the ring with John Cena, more so than I did before this promo. Because I think this promo just really changed the direction of the feud and made it a lot more interesting. And I told you, Punk in the main event would be a hell of a lot better than R-Truth. So, but I picture that being like maybe a one-night stand 2006 type of situation, maybe worse, because it'll be a bigger crowd. But again, we shall see. But yeah, I mean, Punk's promo, he said things that a lot of us have been saying for years. He said some things that I've personally felt, and I'm not backstage at the WWE. I don't know what's going on, but I have said that I feel like the product is really based off the whims of a madman who's Vince McMahon, and Punk basically said that. So that's why it felt like a shoot, not only because he did a lot of name dropping, but because he kind of mirrored a lot of frustrations that feel legit and feel real to a lot of us. And I don't know, at this point I feel like Punk's the babyface because he's fighting for my cause, it kind of feels like. But that's, as they would say in Star Wars, it depends greatly on your point of view. And I was just really impressed with it. And not only with Punk's performance, which was fantastic, but the way the WWE handled it. They didn't play his theme song when it was done, and when they cut his mic off, it was the end of the show. They didn't show the WWE logo, they didn't show anything, they just cut the show off. So it made it feel real. It made it feel like something that was believable. It didn't feel like something that was overly scripted, hokey, and silly. It just felt like something that was actually happening. I got sucked into what was going on. And I wish we could see those kind of things more often. And as for Punk, like I said, I don't know if they can afford to let him go at this point, because he's generated such a spark that if you lose him, the company loses that spark, because he's the one that brought it. But he might stay there. I don't know, but I think Punk is at this point is too valuable to let go. He in one 10-minute segment he went from kind of the struggling, talented guy who's kind of being thrown a bone on his way out to being the most compelling character in wrestling again, and that's a testament to CM Punk's abilities. So yeah, I love the promo, I love the segment, I loved how it came off on television. It's made the show a lot more interesting, and here's hoping they do something good with it. We'll see. I've read the spoilers for Raw, and it sounds good. Punk's not on the show, but the show's about him, and I think that's pretty effective. You don't need to see the guy to know that he's an important part of the show, and the fact that so much of the show is being spent reacting to what he did the week before, I think is great. And excuse me. And one thing I wanted to throw out there, one of the most overrated promos that I've seen in wrestling's history was Paul Heyman's at One Night Stand 2005, which everybody said was this fantastic, quote-unquote, shoot promo. And I felt like that one was just Paul Heyman dropping names. Like, it was like, oh, Matt freaking Hardy, whoa, look at what I said. Triple H doesn't want to work Tuesdays, whoa, look what I said. It didn't feel like a really passionate speech, and it didn't really feel like Paul Heyman said anything of substance. It just felt like he was saying things just to shock us, and that's what people reacted to. I thought Rob Van Dam's promo on that same pay-per-view was more effective because, yeah, it sounded like, he was, quote-unquote, shooting or whatever, but it sounded legitimate, it sounded passionate. And that's what Punk brought to the table on Raw. It wasn't just that he dropped Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Colt Cabana. It wasn't just that he mentioned all those names. Hulk Hogan, Stephanie, Triple H, whatever. It was the way he delivered it. It was the passion, the believability. Like, you really felt like he believed every word of what he said. And it wasn't just structured in a way, oh, I'll say this just to shock people. It felt like a believable rant from a believable character. And I think that needs to be the direction of wrestling. When you present your characters, they have to be presented believably. And Punk did a fantastic job. WWE did a fantastic job of handling it. And, kudos. It's nice to actually have some nice things to say about both WWE and Impact Wrestling as we head into their next two pay-per-views, which my next video I will be talking about both Destination X and Money in the Bank. I am actually going to have some very nice things to say, which is a nice change of pace for me. It feels more relaxing when I feel more positively towards the products. But, yeah, that's it for this week. Hope I enjoy Transformers Dark of the Moon. If I don't, oh well. And here's hoping the wrestling products continue on this upward trend from here on out. So until then, later everybody.